Hello fans, collectors, investors. Welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I'm Iconic Al, and this is the last stop before the top 10. How do you sum up this guy in 1 minute? Well, the term generational player gets thrown around a little bit too much, I think. But in this case, this is truly a player that captured a generation of fans and really coincided with a boom and what some consider the golden age of baseball cards. So there was this great nexus of greatness, the best player on the best team in the biggest market that coincided with this boom in baseball cards in the early 50s. And it resulted in this generational love for a player. That generational love was actually transferred to subsequent generations, which is exceedingly rare in the game and in the hobby. But what we have here is a generational talent who truly earned this spot, number 11 on the list. I'm talking about the Commerce Comet, the Mick, the great Mickey Mantle.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Hey, Judy! Post Cereals have free baseball trading cards. Free baseball cards? Yeah, they're on the packages. Here's Post Alphabet. And they're also on 9 other Post cereals. You just cut them out of the back. Hey, you've got 6 different cards on Alphabets. And here's Mickey Mantle. He's my favorite. Boy, he can really shag those flies.
Well, kids, baseball season's here again. And with Post Cereals baseball trading cards, you can get a rundown on all your favorite players.
I'll trade you Big Glove, Freddie Matthews. What did he hit last year? 325. All right, I'll trade you. How many stars can we get? 200.
That's the pitch, kids. 200 different major leaguers in color. So start your day a little bit better with Post Cereals and start collecting your free baseball trading cards today.
Born in 1931 in Spavinaw, Oklahoma, and named after his dad's favorite player, Mickey Cochran, Mickey Mantle would grow up to become a superhero, an on-field phenom, and a true king of the hobby. One of the greatest ball players of all time, and probably the most collected athlete in baseball history. As I mentioned in the intro, he truly captured a generation of fans that then went on to capture future generations of fans, a very rare phenomenon. He was a 5-tool player in his prime, and truly one of the greats. In his lengthy yet injury-riddled career that lasted from 1951 through 1968, Mantle compiled 110.2 WAR, hitting .298 for a career with a .421 on-base percentage. His internal ratios are insane, with a .977 OPS and a .172 OPS plus, putting him in the top 10. He compiled 2,415 hits, hit 536 home runs, drove in 1,509 runs, scored 1,676, and he stole 153 bases. His achievements include being a 20-time All-Star, winning a Gold Glove Award, winning 3 MVP awards, 4 home run titles, and a batting title. In 1956, Mantle won the Triple Crown, and just listen to this stat line. A .353 batting average, with 52 home runs, 130 RBI, 132 runs scored, and 10 stolen bases. Just a phenomenal season, one of the best seasons in baseball history. Despite his prodigious power and all those long home runs that were known to go out of stadiums completely, he owned a pretty balanced walk-to-strikeout ratio of 1,733 walks to 1,710 strikeouts. If you look at some of his peak WAR seasons, 1956, 11.2 WAR, 1957, 11.3 WAR, and 1961, 10.4 WAR. He's perhaps most known for being a monster in the postseason. In 65 World Series games, hitting 18 home runs with 40 RBI and 42 runs scored. He led his Yankees to 7 World Series titles during his career. Okay, into the collection here. Let's start with the first Mantle card I ever owned, and this goes back to my teenage years. This is the first Mantle that I ever added to my collection, and this is the exact copy of that Mantle. I believe I purchased it in the early days of AOL message boards. This is pre-eBay, and I remember getting a postal money order for, I believe it was $68, something like that. And for a $68 postal money order, I mailed that out, waited a couple weeks, and then this beautiful 1964 Topps came in the mail. And it's always been my Mantle. This has always been the one. Now, this is a very kind of a common Mantle card when you look at populations. It's one of the more plentiful Mantle cards, but as a collector, you never forget your first Mickey Mantle card. And this is mine. And had it graded, a few years back, and I was very happy to get a 4, but the grade really didn't matter to me because it's just my Mantle, so really didn't care what grade it got, but very happy to get a 4. And I like the simplicity of the 64 Topps design. It's not showing off, it's nothing too fancy. It's just team, a beautiful pose, photo, name, and position. That's pretty much it. So it's kind of a no-nonsense, mid-60s, later career Mickey Mantle card. And this was the first one I ever owned. So that's why that's special to me. And let's work our way to the right here. This is one that I have showed before. This is a ticket from the 1960 World Series from Game 2, where Mantle went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, 5 RBI. This comes to me through my family, through my dad's side of the family. And when I did more research on these tickets that I had received, it became clear to me that this was a special game for Mantle. Even though the Pirates would go on to win that World Series, this was a big game for Mantle, and a game that the Yankees would beat the Pirates, rout the Pirates 16-3. So we have a huge game here for Mantle where he hit 2 home runs, drove in 5, scored 3 runs. Also a game where Clemente had 2 hits. So kind of a special ticket in that regard. Both Mantle and Clemente had pretty good games. So one more reason why that ticket is pretty cool to me. And this is a 1961 Topps card that sort of commemorates Game 2. Mantle slams 2 home runs. Pretty cool card. There's a description of the game itself and the ticket from the event. So just a cool little combo that I like to keep along with the ticket. Okay, onto a nostalgic piece that has absolutely no monetary value. This is my original copy of the October 1995 Beckett magazine. Now this came out 2 months after Mantle passed away. You can see he passed away in 95. I believe he passed in August, and this came out in October. So this is a really special sort of commemorative edition for me, but being a 13-year-old, when this came out, getting this, I remember this having a pretty big impact on me. It sort of hammered home to me that, hey, these guys are immortal, that these guys are real people, real humans, and they don't live forever, even though he carried that superhero status in the hobby. And I paged through this recently, and it was really cool to see some things, see where prices were back in 95. Here we have the 48-49 Leaf, Jackie Robinson rookie card, in near mint condition, priced at $900, high column. It's just crazy to see where some of these, vintage prices are. Of course, you have the hot and cold list. There, Frank Thomas, #1 on the hot list. A lot of Hall of Famers there on the hot list. This was the year that Ripken broke the record, so they highlight him there, and he's high on the list as well. And then when I was paging through, this was a cool little snapshot. I actually had this part dog-eared, and here we have the local shows that are circled under Pennsylvania, where I grew up, and I had circled the local shows that we had targeted to go to back then in 95. There was one in Monroeville, the Monroeville Mall. There's one there in Castle Shannon Fire Hall, and I remember going to that show whenever it happened because it was only about a 15-minute drive from where I grew up. Holiday Inn Green Tree, another show that we frequented in Pittsburgh area, and then Bethel Park Village Square Mall. So remember the Village Square Mall show? I'm sure most of you do not know of any of these places, but for me, it was really cool to go back and see, hey, I had actually circled these and probably did go to most of those back in 95 because I was, you know, pretty into it. Still am. But really cool snapshot of the 95 October shows. Anyway, and just a really nice image on the back of Mantle wearing the crown and the kneeling pose at Yankee Stadium. But just a really cool addition of the Beckett that I just love to keep for nostalgic purposes. And on the front, obviously, it's that iconic shot that they use in the 1952 Topps, which I have seen in person, by the way. I saw Marshall Fogel's copy, which is a PSA 10 that was on display here in Colorado for the All-Star game a couple of years ago. I got a commemorative magnet that I keep on the fridge, but this is my copy of the PSA 10 52 Topps Mantle, arguably the most iconic card in the hobby. Okay, here is my Mantle signed baseball. One of my all-time favorite signatures in the hobby, and one of those classic items. I mean, who doesn't love a Mantle signed baseball? It's one of the most iconic pieces in the hobby itself. This is a really nice sweet spot, ballpoint Mantle. And this is on a Bobby Brown American League Baseball. And that's one I had certified through PSA DNA. But just a really nice, clean, single-signed Mantle. One that I truly cherish. Okay, and next up, probably the crown jewel of my Mantle collection, the 54 Red Heart. I think his most beautiful aesthetically among all of his releases, and one that I was very excited to get a few years back because I wanted an early career Mantle. And this one really takes the cake for me in terms of value. This is a really nice copy, well-centered. The color, the registration, it's kind of the complete package to me. And it's kind of obscure, relatively speaking, compared to many of his Topps and Bowman releases, which I'm fine with. This was distributed through Red Heart Dog Food. You would send away and receive these cards in return for, I believe it was box tops. But just a beautiful copy of this card. You can see that mid-century modern design aesthetic all over it. Just a classic mid-50s look to it. But just love that card, one of my favorites. Just a brief aside here, I thought it would be a lot of fun to do a quick price comparison between the 1954 Red Heart Mantle, of which PSA has graded 1,581 copies, and the iconic 1952 Topps, of which PSA has graded 1,947. If you look at both of those cards, let's say at a PSA 3, I'm just going by the last sale on eBay, $1,899 for the 54 Red Heart, and $48,100 for the 52 Topps. So it just gives you an idea of just how obscenely inflated that 52 Topps card is value-wise. I mean, I know the market is the market, price is truth, whatever you want to call it, but it's clear that the 54 Red Heart, if you say, okay, has a similar eye appeal, or in my opinion, even better eye appeal than the 52 Mantle, neither of them are rookie cards. We're still talking early career Mantle. It's just interesting to me, that's all. I just wanted to show the price comparison in a comparable grade, and there it is. Okay, last but certainly not least is my Mantle signed card. This is a card that is my second favorite looking Mantle, the 53 Bowman color, but this is a reprint from 1989 Bowman. And I was introduced to this card through the 1989 Bowman set, because that's when I was sort of coming of age into the hobby. And the first time I laid eyes on this image was not by looking at a 53 Bowman color, but it was actually through pulling one of these in an 89 Bowman pack. And I'll just give you a background on these. These are still ones that I have in my collection. This is what they look like. They were pulled from 89 Bowman, and they had a sweepstakes on the back. Fill out that and you could win prizes. But they had some of the most iconic cards in the hobby featured. There's the Willie Mays rookie. There's the 50 Bowman Jackie. And for many of these, this is the first time I'd ever seen these images as a kid of 8, 9, 10 years old. 48 Bowman Berra rookie. Here's your 49 Bowman Satch. And your 54 Bowman Teddy Ballgame. But just beautiful cards. They're high quality reprints. So I have some nostalgia around that set already. But then to add a really nice signature. So you have the eye appeal and a really nice autograph for Mantle right across that card. Glorious. It checks all the boxes for me. If this was an actual 53 Bowman color signed by Mantle, I don't know, 30 grand? I don't even know. But this was much more reasonable. So there's a sweepstakes in the back. And that's my on-card Mantle auto. All right. Thanks so much for joining me on this somewhat lengthy journey through my Mantle PC. I am beyond excited to dive into the top 10 starting next weekend. Until then, everyone, keep collecting and stay iconic.